Hello guys, this is DJ Studios and welcome to This Time's How Doctor Who Works, and this week we're looking at Tooth and Claw, the second episode in Series 2. So take your mind back to a time when technology was very weak. So I have a list of things that I like to mention about each episode, and then I talk about what you can learn from it, or the message. So this week, Tooth and Claw then. So Series 2 just started of Doctor Who, and we are greeted to the next full adventure for the Doctor and Rose to face. The adventure itself focuses on Rose and the Doctor mostly and pretty much a bunch of other people running away from a big scary werewolf for the entire episode. A CGI werewolf, I mean. So, I have a list of things that I want to mention that are good about this episode, and then I want to do a bit of a message thing to explain what you can take away from this episode. Right, let's begin. The first thing is that there's a lot of violence in this episode, but it is shot well enough. Well, there's one occasion, but it is shot well enough that it's violent, but it's not bloody. As in, it's not Assassin's Creed when they move away every time somebody gets hit, so they don't go into the 15 territory. The way that the characters are eaten by the werewolf are very cleverly done. So see shots of the werewolf, and then you see shots of the person, and then it flicks between this, and they're slowly, sort of meet up together, and generally you hear a scream and a bit of fast shaky cam, and then it cuts out and you presume them to be dead. Then you go into the worst scene ever in Doctor Who in this episode, which is the scene when we see, it's right at the beginning of the episode, and those monk things come out in their bright orange uniforms, and then jump over a bunch of men, fight them all in this terribly shot, choreographed, everything piece of rubbish that then features just a lot of unneeded stunts and fights. Like, these people are hardly they're pretty much defenseless. I don't see why you need to whack them so much. Yeah, but that's only one example, man. Just one. Something good about this episode is the fear that comes from this episode. So the werewolf is pretty creepy, I'll admit. That mostly due to the good CGI that they've actually stuck in there. It's the little hairs, the little details in the werewolf, such as the breathing. You can sort of see the breath and its effects around it. The moment when the Doctor and the werewolf are right next to each other is the best sort of view of that, of the breath and the hair as well, and the eyes and the movements of the werewolf are quite like a werewolf, so that's good CGI, and it makes it a lot more scary, especially where the way it's shot was in like the violence and everything. It's shot that way, and the beginning with the guy and the build up to that, him becoming the werewolf, is very good as well. This episode begins the Series 2 plotline, and right at the end of the episode, Queen Victoria is a bit against the Doctor, and she talks about how Torchwood will be waiting, and she's going to set up this institute to fight aliens, well, pretty much such as the Doctor, and this is a running arc throughout this series, and maybe even last series as well. I don't know, was it mentioned? Yes, because it was mentioned in the Christmas Invasion, and I think it may have been mentioned before that as well. And it really brings this good foreshadowing that Russell T Davies was so good at with his writing, and whoever wrote this episode is as well. So brilliant. The messages to take away from this episode is that the setting up and the foreshadowing that is done, and the fact that these things can be violent, but they need to be tame, I think. You know, for example, I've recently watched Logan, and I'm not really expecting the Doctor or someone to cut someone's head off with his claws, for example, or stab a guy through the armpit. So you have to be careful with Doctor Who because it's a family show, but the violence it has to be there. There's no fear without the violence, and I hate when people say that Doctor Who is like really violent. It really annoys me because they purposely make it so it's scary and implies that it's violent when it's not. It's not really. So thank you guys for watching. This has been Dear Series. Hopefully enjoy this video. Make sure you give it a like, and that's everything. Yeah, subscribe. Goodbye.